All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being seated. I hereby call this meeting to order, and we'd like to recognize Rich Breer with INCOG back there. So thank you, Rich, for being with us. Commission Secretary Stephanie, please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn here.
Mr. Grimsley? Mr. Shannon?
Here.
Mr. Freimiller?
Freimiller here.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson here.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander here.
Mr. LaForge? Mr. Junk?
Junk here.
Mr. Peterson?
Here. Thank you. Secretary Gatz, you're recognized to present.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Wanted to start the meeting off this morning with a recognition of the untimely passing of Ed Sutter. Ed Sutter, he was a District 6 Transportation Commissioner nominated by Frank Keating during the Keating administration in 1995. You know, Commissioner Sutter, I had the honor of serving under his commissionership, and just an outstanding individual. And again, did a great job with the Transportation Commission covering District 6. He was a community leader for Alva, certainly an advocate for northwestern Oklahoma and the state of Oklahoma. And beyond that, just a great person. You know, so again, I thought it appropriate this morning to acknowledge that, and I'd ask, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, for us to take a moment of silence.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Item 98 is approval of the minutes of the Transportation Commission meeting on June 5th, 2023. Do I have a motion for approval of item 98?
Motion Dyson.
And do I have a second?
Second Freimiller.
And any discussion? Hearing none, Secretary will please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Abstain.
Mr. Freimiller?
Freimiller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Junk, yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. The consent docket contains items 99 through 103. If any commissioner would like to pull an individual item out for discussion, he may do so at this time. Otherwise, I'll hear a motion for approval of the consent docket.
Alexander makes a motion.
Thank you. And a second, please.
Second Coburn.
Second, Mr. Coburn. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Freimiller?
Freimiller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Junk, yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes. Item 104 is engineering contracts. Mr. Tegler, you are recognized to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Mr. Secretary. Item 104, I have 15 parts this month. Part A is a statewide, all districts, on-demand transportation alternatives project design. Department has selected 6 firms to provide these services. They are with Cowan Group Engineering, Guy Engineering Services, Half Associates, Land Plan Consultants, Native Strategies, and R.L. Shears Company. The aggregate not to exceed amount for these 6 contracts is $1,500,000.
Question.
Yes.
Do they each get $250,000, or do you vary? Can it just vary between the consultants?
Yes to both of those questions. In this
Okay.
case, we are doing $250,000 each.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
So there are times when we can divide it differently.
Okay.
Part B, statewide, all districts, on-demand cultural resources inventories, NRHP evaluations and mitigation proposals. Department has selected 7 firms to provide these services, and they are with Alpine Archaeological Consultants, Amaterra Environmental, Blanton and Associates, Integrated Environmental Solutions, Mead and Hunt, Stan Tech Consulting Services, WSP USA Environment and Infrastructure. Aggregate not to exceed amount for these 7 contracts is $2,100,000.
And could you tell me, sorry to be in your space here. What is a cultural resource inventory and an NRHP
Okay.
evaluation and mitigation proposal?
All right, good question. The NHRP are the National Register of Historic Places.
Right.
So a lot of this is evolving around the historic and cultural resources. So we
Okay.
go through and review what is available or what's out there that's near our projects. And this all becomes a report probably even in our reconnaissance as well, so.
Okay? And cultural resources?
Yep, it's the survey for archaeological digs, so if they find anything of buried artifacts, that's what we'll be looking for as well.
Thank you.
Part C, in Okmulgee County and District 1, Department has selected half associates to prepare construction plans for I-40. The proposed project improvements are reconstruct and rehabilitate the existing facility. Total not to exceed amount is $507,500. Just so you know, this is Phase 1 of a Phase 2 project. Part D in Canadian County and District 4, Department has selected Freeze and Nichols to prepare construction plans for US 270. The proposed project improvements are adding traffic control devices, reconstruct, rehabilitate the existing facility, replace a bridge on an existing alignment, safety improvements, and adding shoulders to a two-lane road. Total not to exceed amount is $1,383,300. Part E in Oklahoma County and District 4, Department has selected H.W. Lochner to prepare construction plans for I-235. The proposed project improvements are bridge repair. This also is a Phase 1 of at least a two-phase project. This is the I-235 bridge that's just right outside the departments off to our west. So total not to exceed amount is $1,117,700. Part F in Cimarron County in District 6, Department has selected MKEC Engineering to prepare construction plans for State Highway 325. Proposed project improvements are replacing the bridge on existing alignment and adding shoulders to a two-lane road. Total not to exceed amount is $459,400. Part G in Woods County in District 6, the department has selected MKEC Engineering to prepare construction plans for US 281. The proposed project improvements are adding shoulders to a two-lane road. Total not to exceed amount is $1,435,350. Part H in Comanche County, District 7, department has selected Team Design to provide preliminary engineering and construction plans for State Highway 17. The proposed project improvements are reconstruct, rehabilitate the existing facility, geometric and safety improvements, replacing a bridge on existing alignment, and adding shoulders to a two-lane road. Total not to exceed amount is $401,600. This also is a Phase 1 of a two-phase project. Part I in Grady County in District 7, Department has selected CP&Y to prepare construction plans for US 81. Proposed project improvements are intersection modification. Total not to exceed amount is $916,556. Part J in Murray County in District 7, Department has selected Garver to provide preliminary engineering and construction plans for US 177. Proposed project improvements are alignment study, geometric improvements, and adding shoulders to a two-lane road. Total not to exceed amount is $605,000. This also is a Phase 1 of a two-phase project. Part K in Craig County in District 8, the department has selected Smith Roberts Baldischweiler to prepare construction plans for US 60. The proposed project improvements are adding shoulders to a two-lane road. Total not to exceed amount is $1,838,000. Part L in Delaware County in District 8, department has selected MacArthur Associated Consultants to prepare construction plans for State Highway 10. The proposed project improvements are adding capacity to the roadway. Total not to exceed amount is $1,068,900. Part M in Mays County in District 8, the department has selected Olson to prepare construction plans for US 69. Proposed project improvements are reconstruct and rehabilitate the existing facility. Total not to exceed amount is $1,521,400. Part N in Rogers County in District 8, department has selected Grossman and Keith Engineering to prepare construction plans for State Highway 266. Proposed project improvements are adding capacity to the roadway. Total not to exceed amount is $181,800. And finally, Part O in Rogers County, District 8, department Department has selected Garver to provide preliminary engineering and construction plans for US 412. Proposed project improvements are access improvements and intersection modification. Total not to exceed amount is $2,001,550. Approval is recommended. Answer any questions if you have any this morning.
Thank you. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 104?
So move.
That was Mr. Shannon, Commissioner Shannon. Do I have a second?
Freimiller, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, Secretary, please call the roll.
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Freimiller?
Freimiller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Junk, yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes. Item 105 is engineering contract supplements. Mr. Tegler, you are recognized to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 8 parts this month. 4 of them are statewide projects or contracts, and the other 4 are project-specific. Part A is our statewide, all districts are on-demand project reconnaissance data collection. Department previously selected 10 consulting firms to provide these services, and they are with BKL, Garver, Half Associates, Native Strategies, Park Hill Smith & Cooper, Poe & Associates, Professional Engineering Consultants, the Schemmer Associates, Walter P. Moore & Associates, and White Hawk Engineering and Design. Total aggregate increase for these contract supplements is $2,500,000. Part B, also statewide, all districts, on-demand engineering services for the strategic asset and performance management. Department previously selected 6 firms to provide these services, and they are with Garver, HNTB Corporation, High Street Consulting Group, Jacobs Engineering Group, Embro Engineering, and Olson. The total aggregate increase for these contract supplements is $2,500,000. Part C is statewide, all districts, on-demand bridge rehabilitation 8-year construction work plan. Previously selected 6 consulting firms to provide these services, and they are with Burgess & Nyepel, EST, Garver, H.W. Lochner, Jacobs Engineering Group, and Neo Design. Total aggregate increase for these contract supplements is $1,500,000. Part D, statewide, all districts, on-demand traffic engineering services. Department previously selected 6 firms to provide these services as well, and we are only supplementing the contract with Friesen Nichols at this time. Total aggregate increase for these contract supplements or this contract is $250,000. Part E, McLean County in District 3. Department previously authorized Team Design to perform preliminary engineering and construction plans for State Highway 74. Project proposed improvements are replace bridge on offset alignment, safety improvements, and add shoulders to a 2-lane road. Supplement not to exceed amount is $1,262,950. This is Phase 2 of a 2-phase contract. Part F in Pottawatomie County is District 3. Department previously authorized CEC Corporation to prepare construction plans for US 270. Proposed project improvements are reconstruct, rehabilitate existing facility and safety improvements. Supplement not to exceed is $149,200. Part G in Seminole County in District 3. Department previously authorized Benham Design to prepare construction plans for State Highway 99. The proposed project improvements are reconstruct and rehabilitate the existing facility. Supplement not to exceed amount is $172,880. And Part H is Grady County in District 7. Department previously authorized CEC Corporation, preliminary engineering and construction plans for State Highway 4. The proposed project improvements are access improvements. Supplement not to exceed amount is $18,070. Approval is recommended, and answer any questions if you have anything this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Tegler. You've heard the presentation, Commissioners. Do I have a motion for approval of item 105?
Motion, Dyson.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second, Coburn.
Thank you. Any discussion? Secretary will please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Freimiller?
Freimiller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Junk, yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 106 is change orders with a cumulative total of $75,000 or less. This is for information only. Mr. Leonard, you're recognized to present.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'd like to present item number 106, parts A through AA. These are change orders on projects which have a cumulative total of change orders of $75,000 or less. This item is presented for your information only. No action is necessary, but I'd certainly be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. If there are no questions, Mr. Leonard, you're recognized to present item 107, change orders with a cumulative total greater than $75,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 107, Parts A through V. These are change orders on projects which have a cumulative total of change orders greater than $75,000. Your approval is recommended, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. These were reviewed in detail actually in my subcommittee meeting this morning, so thank you for that, Mr. Leonard. You've heard the presentation. Commissioners, do I have a motion for approval of item 107?
Motion, Junk.
Second.
And second, Commissioner Shannon. And any discussion? All right. Secretary, will please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Freimiller?
Freimiller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Junk, yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Item 108 is proposed bid openings. Mr. Hackney, you are recognized to present.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Item 108, proposed bid openings, consists of the final August 2023, the tentative September 2023, and the tentative October 2023 bid openings. The department recommends approval.
You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 108? Someone?
Motion Dyson.
Second, Junk.
Commissioner Dyson, and a second with Commissioner Junk. Thank you. Any discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Freimiller?
Freimiller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Junk, yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 109 is a suspension of pre-qualification. Mr. Davis, you are recognized to present.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Item 109, I'm asking for your consent to suspend a portion of our contractor pre-qualification rule 73025-3-1. It's going to be section O. Pursuant to the Oklahoma Administrative Code 731-3-3, the Commission shall maintain final authority on the application of its rules and may, by unanimous vote of the Commission, suspend the effect of any rule for a particular circumstance when to do so is in the interest of the public. The Commissioner's Pre-Qualification Rule 730.25.3-1, Section O, provides that highway construction contractors' pre-qualification to bid on the Department's contracts shall expire after a 2-year term at the completion of the contractor's fiscal year. After the expiration date of the contractor's certificate of qualification, the contractor shall have a period of 180 days to submit audited financial statements, or the contractor's pre-qualification will cease at that date. Numerous contractors that are due for pre-qualification renewal as of June 30th, 2023 could not meet this deadline for the reason that the contractors were not able to obtain the necessary audited financial statements from the auditors employed by the contractors to produce the necessary statements. Due to the inability to produce the financial statements required under this rule, an inordinate number of contractors' pre-qualification status has ceased, and they are no longer eligible to submit bid proposals. The Department's loss of contractors is a significant endangerment to the Department's ability to let construction contracts and receive sufficient proposals to support the Department's scheduled construction work plan. For this reason, it is in the public interest to indefinitely suspend the Rule 730.25-3-1, Section O, requirement to submit the contractor's financial statement within 180 days after the expiration of the certificate of qualification, and to allow contractors additional time to submit financial statements when they are available, while continuing pre-qualification with the Department, as well as allow the Department time to review the rule for necessary amendments while maintaining required project production rates. Your approval is recommended, and I will stand for any questions.
How many is numerous?
At the beginning of June, we had about 44 contractors on that list, which represents about 20% of our contracting workforce.
We had a vigorous, go ahead.
Yeah,
Mr.
just
Shannon.
just a question about the overall philosophy of this measure. A, is it an ODOT requirement or is it statutory? And B, how much of a problem is this to entry into becoming a contractor? I mean, do we see obviously there are larger, more sophisticated organizations that can produce financial statements pretty pretty easily. But I would suspect there are some, entry-level guys who may not be able to produce such. Have we seen that very much? I mean, do these numbers indicate that that's an issue, and is that something we can visit about?
That is something we were wanting to visit with industry about, and that's why we're asking for the suspension. This issue, these rules went into effect in 2019, so most of the contractors are working on odd-numbered years. So in 2021, we had a number of contractors that were in the same position. COVID was going on at the time, so industry thought it was a COVID issue. We had no reason to believe otherwise, but when it popped up again this year, we obviously, something else is going on, and we'd like time to visit with the industry on what's going on with that. As far as getting them pre-qualified the first time, it hasn't really been an issue. Smaller contractors, we have a great staff here that helps them get in that process and getting them qualified. But this is a different problem.
We had a
Is this
rather,
is this a temporary situation that would go back into effect within 6 months or whatever?
We said indefinite. We could put a time limit on it if that is y'all's desire. But we would like to have time to find out exactly what is going on and see if, in fact, we do need to change the rule and come back to have you guys approve it, or if it's not something that's on our side, if it's on the contractor side, something that they can fix, maybe we come back and just reinstate the rule just as it is.
I'm okay if it's indefinite, as long as we put it as an agenda item 6 months down the road.
yeah, 6 months, would
revisit
that
it.
be possible to add that to this approval, that it be revisited within 6 months?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had a vigorous discussion about this in my subcommittee meeting. I'm basically against this. Having been a CPA auditor, I know how long it takes to perform an audit. And at our company, which is a good-sized company, it's done in 60 days. And through COVID and, all this and that. So I think those are just flimsy excuses on the part of the contractors, whatever they're hearing from their public accounting firms. So I don't want to see us lose 20% of our contractors, so I'll vote to approve it, but only with the stipulation that we visit again within 6 months. Because again, I think I shouldn't say BS at a recorded meeting, should I? But I think it is. There you have it.
Chairman, we certainly appreciate we appreciate your insight and the comments that you had this morning, and we will certainly take those back whenever we are talking to the contractors.
The secretary didn't care for my last comment, but yeah, no, I feel rather strongly about it. But and the other question I have, and Ms. Penn might be able to help me out with this, or perhaps the secretary, what kind of scrutiny do we perform on the bonding companies? Because we relaxed the financial statement requirement from an audit to a review here some years ago. And now we're kind of waving, well, you don't even have to get us financial statements. I don't like any of that. It ultimately gets down to the bonding companies if a project fails, if the contractor doesn't have proper financial stability. So do we look into the bonding firms to see that they are properly rated and all this and that? And if so, who does that?
I'm going to turn around and look at our legal team for that one.
Look at our boss for that.
I was going to give you my non-attorney answer, but since David Miley's here.
Well, I'm David Miley. I'm an assistant general counsel, and I review all the contracts, but we make sure that they are bonded, and the bonding companies just have to be on the certified list that the U.S. Treasury Department puts out.
Treasury Department.
U.S. Treasury, yeah, in their surety division. So they determine a bonding limit that we make sure that they are licensed by the Department of Insurance here in Oklahoma, and that they have a bonding limit set by the U.S. Treasury Department. Then they will bond our contractors, and we do not necessarily, that's a private transaction. We do not necessarily know how they determine the bonding limit for a particular contractor. We do have that bonding limitation for new contractors, but we will allow fully pre-qualified contractors to bid up to whatever that surety company will bond them for. And I think they're pretty liberal with their bonding, and I don't know how much they really look at these companies and make a determination of how much they want to bond, because like I say, that's their private business and their own investigation. And they don't tell us how they determine a bonding limit
If
for a particular
if
company.
we're going to have a $20 million project, does a contractor put up a $20 million bond?
Yes.
Yeah,
Under
okay.
state law, you've got a performance bond
Yep.
and a statutory payment bond.
Yeah.
And the performance bond will guarantee that if they don't finish the project, the bonding company will then step in and finish the project.
Right.
The statutory and payment bond makes sure that the subcontractors are paid, or if we have a negative final estimate, we can go after the statutory and payment bond to collect that if
Sure.
we don't.
Well, we're depending on, and I don't want to protract this, but we're depending on the strength of the bonding company. And so I just don't understand how they're rated, but I can work with your office and Ms. Penn later, and I'd like to know a little bit more about that, just to make sure that we're properly protected.
Certainly.
So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, a couple things. This is not a item that we bring to you that we take lightly. Because again, our pre-qualification requirements in that process is very rigorous for a reason. Because we want to make sure that we are fulfilling our responsibility to the taxpayers. So, but when you begin to see a pattern develop that's associated with some of our process, it is a good idea, we believe, to take a hard look at it before we start to limit our competitive environment for our construction contractors. And in where we are today, we don't want to, without making absolutely sure, lose one contractor from our pre-qualified pool. And to Commissioner Shannon's point, we would love to even be able to add more, because we want everybody bidding on our projects that we can get. So again, this is not something we bring lightly. I can assure you, we will provide you with a update at each commission meeting on what our progress is on this. Certainly, we should be able to come to a conclusion easily within a 6-month time period. And I appreciate the limitation on the indefinite reference. So again, we'll report back to each commission meeting. But again, I just want to reassure the commission, this was something we agonized over. But again, we do not want to limit opportunities until we fully understand what's going on in the contractor community.
Sure.
So.
And another point that Commissioner Shannon made was, let's make sure the rule is a sound rule, so that we don't trip up ourselves over a poor rule. So, all right, thank you. All right, Commissioners, you've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 109?
Yes, Commissioner,
Excuse me.
you need to modify the recommendation. You need to state that you want to limit the suspension of the rule for 6 months, and get a second on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so for the record, we are approving the waiving of this for 6 months. The suspension, the suspension for 6 months. That is the motion,
Yes.
okay? So, do I,
Second.
okay, who made the first?
You did.
Oh, just by stating that, sorry. Tripped up in formalities. Thank you, Commissioner Shannon. And any discussion, any more discussion? All right, Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Freimiller?
Freimiller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 110 is awards. Mr. Delfs, you are recognized to present.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Item 110 are our recommendations from the June bid openings. Part A, from June 8th bid opening, it is recommended that the following items from the June 8th bid opening referred to by call order be awarded. It's call order 600, 610, 615, 620, 625, 630, 632, 633, and 635. Part B is from the June 15th bid opening. It is recommended that the following items from the June 15th bid opening referred to by call order be awarded. It's call order 707, 714, 721, 728, and 735. This concludes the recommendations for award, and approval is requested.
You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 110?
Motion, Junk. Second, Alexander.
Okay, we have a second from Commissioner Alexander. Any discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Freimiller?
Frymeller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
The motion passes. Item 111 is the Director's Report. Secretary Gatz, you are recognized to present.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, first up, I want to talk a little bit about the straight line winds that were experienced in the city of Tulsa and certainly Creek County also. Because one of the things that the department has done periodically across the state of Oklahoma is respond to the demands of these types of emergency conditions. And again, we work very closely with the Office of and Department of Emergency Management, who is in direct coordination with the local governmental entities, whether that's county government or city government. But again, we had forces that responded to the tree damage there in the Tulsa area, which is significant. And again, I've been through a lot of ice storm events where you typically find this type of tree damage. And this storm that went through Tulsa is as bad as any I've ever seen. So again, it was more than appropriate that we respond. I want to recognize and extend my appreciation along with the rest of staff's appreciation to each of the districts who responded in support of what Tulsa was experiencing. Just to give you an idea of the magnitude, the Department of Transportation had about 154 staff that were on location up there, about 79 trucks. We've worked as of the end of last week almost 19,000 man hours up there and hauled about 4,000 truckloads of debris away. And at the end of last week, we began to disengage from those operations as Tulsa began to see more and more contractors come on site. So again, we once again fulfilled a gap in emergency situation. Again, I can't thank our guys enough and the sacrifice that they make, you know, on behalf of District 8 and that region is, you know, they spent 10 days up there working that are now they're going to have to go back to their local district and figure out a way to play catch up a little bit. So again, I'm extremely grateful for the work that they did for the city and definitely want to recognize them for that operation mobilization.
Now, as a Tulsan living in the middle of it, you saw DOT trucks everywhere, and it was a mess. So as a Tulsan, I'm grateful for the help from the department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Another significant thing that happens today is our, the NEVI grant that we've been developing. Oklahoma receives about $66 million through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that goes towards building out electric vehicle charging infrastructure. Part of the plan for that rollout is an RFP to engage third-party partners in that build-out. We are absolutely going to need private sector involvement at every level, and so this RFP is to start that process. And you know, our electric vehicle infrastructure plan is moving ahead. Late last month, that plan was updated. And again, it'll be a living document until we get all the way finished. And starting today, the RFP goes out. And selected companies ultimately are going to be able to construct, operate, and maintain those charging stations through key corridors throughout the state, starting with alternative fuel corridors. Oklahoma is one of the leaders in the country in having charging infrastructure already out there. But this build-out will continue and it's an opportunity to expand on those public-private partnerships that are already in place with an eye to the future and making sure that we can minimize range anxiety as our vehicle fleet begins to go through the conversion. These will be a minimum 150 kilowatt chargers. And again, I want to thank our multimodal division, Jared Swinnison and his team, for the work that they've done around the delivery of this plan. And it's taken a significant effort to get to the RFP, but we're excited about getting it out there today. We have a website. If you just Google EVOK, it'll take you to the website, and there's a lot of information related to this that's out there right now, so including the plan. So be happy to answer any questions specific to that, Commissioner.
The federal government's paying for the hardware to be installed?
Yes.
And who pays for the electricity?
So it will be up to the provider.
Okay.
And again, that can be anything from private sector company, utility company, even some governmental entities.
So people charging will pay for it as it's used?
Ultimately, yes.
Okay.
Some major upcoming projects that are worth mentioning. We have an I-40 resurfacing project in the Morgan Road area that'll extend east to MacArthur Boulevard, between MacArthur and Meridian. That is, it'll be a little bit disruptive to traffic. We expect the work to start next week, and primarily they're going to limit that work because of the volume of traffic that occurs in that I-40 corridor to nights and weekends, and the work that'll go on during the day will be minimal. No ramps are going to be impacted on the weekends, but it is a significant project. It's an asphalt overlay, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we've got all lanes open for the tax-free weekend in August, which is a significant traffic area for the businesses around it, and also for the Labor Day weekend. So, but the public needs to be aware that there'll be a little bit of disruption in that corridor. Also, State Highway 33 widening in Logan and Payne County. This is a project from Langston extending east that'll include a bridge over the Cimarron River. So again, most of that work will be less impactful because it's we're going to be working to add lanes adjacent, but there will still be a significant construction project ongoing there, expected to take around 2 years. So. And also appreciate your consideration and award this morning of a contract on US 59 in LaFleur County. That will complete the 4 lanes of US 59 from Poto all the way to I-40. This project is part of an ongoing effort that's been going on for many, many years. This section is from the junction of State Highway 9 extending east to what's called Sunset Corners, where you make the turn south to go down to Poto. Again, rural 2-lane highway, very dangerous section, and we will be very excited to get this contract awarded and underway. They'll plan to start work on it this fall, and again, not a second too soon, so I appreciate that award this morning. Project update, I think we've got maybe some photos and a few more videos here on I-44 and I-35 closures. Another significant project, Metropolitan Oklahoma City. We've had several overnight closures. The contractors have been able to hang beams for the flyover ramp going from northbound I-35 to westbound I-44. As you can see, it was a significant undertaking, and most recently the work was completed early. That helps us minimize the impact to the traveling public when we have to go through a closure like this. Still a lot of work to do out there. We want to thank the traveling public, as always, for their patience with our orange barrels and our work zones as we make project progress out on the transportation system. And certainly for this particular area, remain cautious. The project's scheduled to be completed in 2025. Also, call your attention, we have started the rebalance of our 8-year construction work plan. As you know, that's an annual occurrence, and the district engineers have started the work. I'm certain that they'll be in contact with you if they have not been already. And of particular note to call your attention to this year, you know, one of the things we're paying really careful attention to is project estimates. And as you know, we're chasing inflation a little bit, and we've had a lot of volatility in bid prices. So certainly on the near-term projects, that's something we're going to have to pay attention to and make some adjustments around. I know the guys are working their way through those projects and processes right now with a goal of, again, bringing this back to you probably in October for your consideration and approval of the 8-year construction work plan update, as always. So again, just for your awareness, and look forward to working with you gentlemen across the course of the summer as we begin to complete that balancing. Also, our safety campaign this month is rural highway safety, something that we're uniquely focused on with things like our rural two-lane program, where we're putting shoulders on rural two-lane highways that don't have shoulders. But it's even more than that. It can be something like failure to yield or failure to stop at an intersection, a county road to a rural highway. We see some really bad accidents at some of those locations. Making sure we've got good stripe out there. And the TIFIA program, I want to call particular attention to, where we sought out a loan from the federal government to advance and accelerate putting shoulders on rural two-lane highways. If we can get that work done faster, we should take advantage of every opportunity because the thing I can assure you of is safety improvements like safety shoulders do save lives. And it's something we're uniquely focused on. There's going to be lots of maintenance work out there that is seeking to address some of these locations and problems across the state. And that'll be everything from patching to striping to guardrail. And always encourage the traveling public that are out on rural highways to watch out for coming upon maybe unique vehicles. We move a lot of farm equipment and farm machinery out there on the rural highway system, but that could also be whether oil and gas industry, which moves some rather large equipment from time to time, or even the wind industry. So certainly want them to be aware. And lastly, and probably most importantly, I won't say probably, absolutely most importantly, I want everybody to remember to buckle their seatbelt. Because again, even on our rural highways, we see way too many accidents that result in fatalities or severe injuries where the occupants of the vehicle simply weren't wearing their seatbelt. You're about 50% more likely to be a severe injury or fatality in a vehicular accident collision if you're not wearing your seatbelt. So Oklahoma's performance is still not what we would like for it to be. We're about 85th or about 85%. That's going to put us in as a lower tier state for seatbelt use. And we've got to do better because that, I can assure you, more than 700 folks every year are killed out on our highway system. And we can put a dent in that if we'll buckle up. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, I would stand for any questions that the commission may have of me and appreciate the opportunity to visit.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Any questions for Secretary Gatz? Hearing none.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. If commissioners have no other comments, I'd hear a motion for item 112, which is adjournment.
Motion Dyson.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Frymiller.
Secretary will call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn, yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Frymiller?
Frymiller, yes.
Mr. Dyson?
Dyson, yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Alexander, yes.
Mr. Junk?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.